What's good, everyone? It's Anime Alex here, back with another anime review. This time we are reviewing One Piece Chapter 940. 60 chapters to go to Chapter 1000. Whoop. Anyways, the cover page, I like the cover page because it shows Bartholomew uh, using his his body, the whole body no me whole fingers crossed X thing, and it shows like him making a barrier to protect his little doll collection of Luffy of like the Straw Hats, and I thought it was really cute. It's it was pretty funny. Anyways, now let's open. Okay, the opening to this chapter was so intense. Like the first panel was so intense in this chapter on like a oh god, what did you do? And it was Law like in the middle of the crisis because you know how last chapter Shinobu was talking about how Beppo and them leaked information and stuff. And so Law literally pointed the finger to him and said, "Don't forget that you doubted my friends today. There's no way I can have someone I don't trust watching my back on the line between life and death." And he gave him the finger. I was like, bruh, Law's about to ruin you all. He's about to mess you all to death. About a scalpel. He about a gamma knife, and thus the Straw Hat Pirates would have died there in a very, very, very cold death. Even though Law doesn't like death, he doesn't like to kill people, but he will if he must. And that shit, woo! I was blown back. I was like, God damn, you really done pissed off Law, and that's like one person you really don't want to piss off, because he has the very high chance of erasing all of you guys within like a fraction of a second using room and just splitting up your bodies. Anyways, we see that Usopp and Nami are kind of thinking about it and saying that they don't really blame Law, but they were terrified. They were terrified, and they were just Usopp was like, "Why did Shinobu have to say all that stuff?" Which begs the question, which is a really popular theory going around right now: is there a traitor amongst the alliance that gave out the information on purpose? Now, some people say it's Shinobu. Others say it's Kanjuro. And then I almost, my heart was racing today, or like my heart was racing when I was reading this chapter, because I thought Old Man Yasu, the dude that like he had the smiling face, always smiling in Abisu Town, I thought he was secretly the snitch, and we'll get to that in a second. Anyways, so Nami Usopp bantering, yada yada yada. We learned that there was an angry voice in Ibisu Town, and it was an arsonist, and it was basically some lumber store, like Bongo Ron, that's his name, is a lumber store dude that sold wood in house for repairs when the arsonist would like burn down the houses so he can make his money. The arsonist would pay off people, and then Bingo, hey, like Bingo Bongo, you get it? But in Bingo was a dude who was a monk and a mortician, so he would like take advantage of the grieving families so they can pay him to like host their funerals and keep and say all the prayers and do all the monk stuff. And so you know we have Ibisu just rattling off, or not Ibisu, what did I say? Yasu, Ome Yasu, just rattling off about their plans and if someone really did betray them. And he was talking about, we'll fight alongside y'all because we don't really have much left. Like, they don't have much time left to live due to their hunger and starvation. And so what's funny is he was rambling on, and Shinobu and Kanjuro didn't know what was going on. He just let him rant. And so everyone is just like surprised because they let him casually rant about everything and all the plans and stuff because they thought he was in on it. But he wasn't, because they don't know that dude. And so it was really crazy how he just knew everything. So that's why a lot of people thought that Yasu in this chapter was the one giving out information so he could get money from the government to pay for people in Yasu and Ibisu town, because apparently Yasu goes around giving money to people so they can help them, survive and stuff. Because we learned that Otoko is the girl who's always smiling, is his daughter. Yeah, it's his daughter. I almost thought it was his granddaughter. God. Almost thought it was Otaku was his granddaughter because the dude looks really old, but it's his daughter. Yeah, I just had to check back. Anyways, his daughter is Otaku. He sold his daughter so she could be a courtesan, so she can bring back money to the town so they can help live, or basically bring back money to Yasu. And then Yasu would feel bad that he's getting money but no one else is, so he goes around and shares the wealth, kind of like this Robin Hood character. And Yasu's really cool. I like his whole mentality of always smile and laugh even in the face of defeat, which is a really good motto. And apparently all the people look up to Yasu in Ibisu town and call him their Buddha. Anyways, after all of that, we flip back to Luffy and we learn. Look, I don't know if this is translation errors or this was just like the move it was called. Okay, so we go back to Luffy and Hyoru, or Hyoro, basically just fighting in the ring like normal, and Hyoru is basically says that what they call hockey, it's actually called Ryuo, and Wano, and the word signifies that it flows. So that's kind of like a whole way of the whole hockey force push thing, which I think that's called Goken. Like the advanced armament hockey is probably called Goken, like how there's armament like Buso Shoku Koka, which is armament hardening, where the person's hand goes black, and that's how we know that hockey's going around. How the black hue of a person's skin signifies that they're using armament hardening, because back then in Marineford, we knew that they were in Amazon Lily and Santomaru, they were using hockey, but it's like an invisible armor of hockey. Like, it was just, you can't see it. Now, you could say that it's only invisible because they didn't know what hockey was, and only hockey users can sense and see other, just other hockey. But I think it was made blatantly clear that armament hardening is basically just better is a better armament hockey, where you can make your hockey visible, and that's how you know it, and it's just a reinforced version of it. So but this, as what I'm going to call Goken, because in the last chapter he called it Goken, that's the move. That's the whole move that Luffy's trying to do with the whole, I'm a hit you while not hitting you, so I'm just going to force push you. And so Luffy tries that out, and he just keeps on failing and keeps on punching him, and he's saying no, no, no over and over. Meanwhile, Queen is just drinking and laughing, and you're like, oh, you're beating too many of them. And then Queen basically calls it for the night. He says, he calls it for the night. He's like, yo, you guys can rest. We'll do this tomorrow. And so Luffy and Hyoro are talking or about to talk about something important, and then Luffy was all like, oh yeah, I can't talk about it with all these guards here. Knocks them out with Conqueror's Haki, which I thought was funny. So they're talking, and then all of a sudden Caribou comes out of nowhere with Ryuo inside him. And so I guess Caribou made a friend with Ryuo, and then it shows that Caribou is begging to have Luffy take him with him. And now, here's the thing. I feel like Caribou isn't really truthful about it. Like, okay, here's the weird thing. I feel like he's actually meaning to go with Luffy, but not really be with Luffy, if that means. And, like, he'll help out, but he doesn't want to be a part of his crew or anything like that, or to do anything like that. I would feel more comfortably if Caribou went with Kid's crew, because I think that would be... Like, Caribou just fits with Kid's crew. That's the thing. So I feel like Kid would get, like, you know, another team member. And it would just, you know, reinforce Kid's crew, because all we really know is Killer. That is the only person aside from Kid that's known. Yes, we have seen the little mummy dude that can breathe fire, and we don't know who he is or just any other of his name or any other of his crew's name. So I feel like giving Caribou, like bringing along Caribou and putting it in Kid's group is the way to go, just to fortify Kid's crew and just give them more names. Because with Law, we have Beppo, of course. We have, well, Penguin and what's the other? Sachi and Penguin. They don't really fight. They've never really shown that they're fighting, or they can fight, or it's implied that they can, but they never really have any, you know, fighting scenes. So we don't know their like level of fighting. And we have that John, that old dude that he met at Sabaody, which he has like mad, like really hulking strength. So I feel like even though Law's crew, and Law also stated he has a crew of 20 people. So even Law's crew with 20 people, and most of them don't really have screen time. Like most of them aren't really fleshed out, developed characters aside from like what maybe Beppo. But Beppo has potential with Sulong form. I mean, he's a mink and he can hopefully use Electro down the line, so he can be useful. I feel as if we need to give or bring in light more of Law's crew and what his other men can do, like Sachi and Penguin, and raise up Kid's crew and have them like, you know, an actual opposition threat. And so we can know more about them, because they're supposed to be like the equals as of Sabaody. So that's just my take on Caribou and where he's gonna go from the story. But hey, it was really funny because Luffy forgave him, or not forgave him. He said, okay, if you changed, okay, you know, the whole Luffy, I forgive you kind of shtick. And so they were talking. Hyoru was relieved that all the retainers in Momonosuke are like alive and the red sheaths are still around. And so he was talking about, hey, we need to get Kawamatsu, you know, free. So can't wait for Kawamatsu to be free so you can see that Kappa, that good old Kappa goodness. And apparently he's like a beast. Like, apparently he's a really, really dangerous threat, so I can't wait to see how strong he is. And they were saying how all the prisoners of Uda prison are just people who were outspoken, or like people who spoke out against Orochi, and they got put in Udon prison, so most likely all of them would be on their side. So this is good for the war. for the final battle. They're going to amass an army out of the prisoners of Udon prison, and I feel like that's cool. Meanwhile, we still don't know where Kid is. Law has gone to help out his. Okay, Law has gone to help out his people. Meanwhile, Usopp, Nami, Sanji, Robin, and Frankie are in Ebisu Town with Shinobu in Kanjuro. Kinemon, and what was the last time I saw Kinemon? I think Kinemon was looking for like more people to recruit more people. Or Kinemon is with Dogstorm and his people. Kinemon and Brook are with Dogstorm and his people, I believe. And Okiku and Chopper are with Big Mom on their way to Udon Prison. Which, subsequently, the chapter... where did it go? Subsequently, the chapter ends on them, like, marching towards... the chapter ends on them marching towards Udon Prison with them. And so we don't know if Big Mom will be get her memories back and then start going ham on everyone, and that's going to be really scary, or she's going to be on their side for the time being, because I feel as Big Mom being on their side until the end of Wano arc is going to be really big, because that's just extra power, and if anyone themselves can take on Kaido head to head just by themselves, it's going to be Big Mom. It's not going to be anyone else besides Big Mom. If anyone else, because what I'm trying to say is Big Mom has the only potential to 1v1 Kaido and do significant damage or stalemate him. Luffy will have to have the help of other supernovas, which I feel as the story is going to showcase that. Or the last battle is going to be Law, Kid, and Luffy fighting Kaido. Or Hawkins, Apu, and X-Drake are going to swap sides and help Luffy, and those six are going to fight. And those six supernova captains are going to fight Kaido. Which is funny, because we don't know where Apu is. We haven't seen Apu this whole Wano arc. We know he's a part of Kaido's crew, judging from the Din Din Mushi, and we know what he looks like in post-time skip due to the new One Piece movie, One Piece Stampede, that's coming later out in August. And so it's like, if Hawkins is a headliner, is Apu a headliner too? I would assume so, because there seems to be a lot more headliners than there seems to be a lot of headliners. But X-Drake is a member of the what's known as the Flying Six, and he's a headliner. And apparently, the way Hawkins talks to Drake, it seems like Drake is above Hawkins. So Drake also might be above Apu, which means that because Drake is a part of that elite squad. So who knows? I just can't wait to see more of like X-Drake, because I feel like he's the supernova that we've seen the least amount. We know the least amount of X-Drake and his powers. Like, we know he turns into an Allosaurus, not a T-Rex, an Allosaurus. He turns into an Allosaurus, and we know he's strong by just impliedness. But I want to see how much strong that ancient devil fruit makes him, and what's his skills, because all we know is he got flustered by Nami. But I feel like X-Drake can, do some pretty nice damage. We know what Apu's capable of. We know what Hawkins is capable of. The only people we don't really know all too much is Mad Monk Arouge and X-Drake. But Arouge had the strength enough to defeat the fourth commander, and I believe kill the fourth commander. Yeah, kill the fourth commander of Big Mom's crew. So we know. So out of background, we know he's Commander Strong. We know that Aruj is Commander Strong. And so I would hope that like Aruj is like, lower Commander Strong. So I would hope that Drake will match Aruj's power, because it seemed like Drake wasn't afraid of Aruj and they were just kind of jovial back at Sabaody, and I felt like those two were the strongest supernovas at that time, because they were taking down pacifistas, or they were taking on pacifistas by themselves. Meanwhile, Luffy, Law, and Kid's crew were kind of struggling a bit. So I feel like if Luffy, Law, and Kid are going to be the new Yonkos, or eventually going to be the new Yonkos, I would think that the other supernova that would be close to them and, like, completing the four would be X Drake, and I just want to see more of X Drake. He's very, like, his backstory is very, like, interesting, since he also has a run in, like, his backstory is also tied with Law, and he's also a Marine that went pirate, which I don't think we've ever seen. And so yeah. Anyways, I would give it a 5 out of 5. Nice setup chapter. I'm really excited for next week. We're gonna get a color page chapter, and I'm glad it's not on break next week. Woo! I want to see what happens, and I just thought there's a lot of tension right now, and it builds up for good drama, and just nothing was just out of the ordinary, or not nothing out of the ordinary. Just nothing was just kind of. I didn't feel something was too, like, boring and dragged out. I think it was a great pace. Anyways, that's my review. Leave a like, sub, and subscribe. Like, leave a like, sub, comment, all that good stuff. Share the video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.